The on-time boarding, the delicious food, the nice drives to the wonderful hotel, life is good, right?
Except that is rarely the case for flying.
Travel consists of endless hurdles to jump through.
Traveling is very stressful for a lot of people.
The delayed flights.
The claustrophobic seats.
You're all right.
The ridiculous turbulence.
The repetitive grind. We rely on planes to get us to and from a place in relatively no time, so why does the experience have to be so daunting?
There's such a need for innovation in the travel industry.
I think it's kind of in the airline's hand to make it an enjoyable experience because they know that people are going to be doing it regardless.
And not just the airports, but the hotels and the cruise lines too.
It is imperative that we find creative solutions to these issues.
There's so much more room for innovation and digitalization efforts that could have a positive impact.
There's a huge opportunity in that in terms of personalization.
There is the capability for us to be laser focused on what the consumer wants, what the traveler wants, and tailor the experiences exactly to what they want.
Relieve some of the stress that comes with traveling.
It's the kind of thing that takes collaboration and a lot of like-minded people. That's why we're all here.
Welcome, everybody. It's amazing. We started this journey about 3.5 years ago, and to think we've come such a long way over the past 3.5 years just gives me goosebumps. And a lot of the credit goes to the startup community, a lot of the credit goes to our corporate partners, most of which are here today. This would not be possible with everybody participating in our travel program. Very excited to be with you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amir. I'm part of the travel and hospitality team here. Had the pleasure of launching the practice in early 2016. And I would say this is going to be most likely our most exciting expo in terms of expanding the program, which I'll talk about momentarily. So since 2016, we've been primarily focused in North America. As you can see, the headquarters for Plug and Play in Silicon Valley. But as mentioned during our last event, we're going to expand the travel program across various sites this year. Vienna, that's going to be our hub for the PMP Travel Europe, which we're very, very excited about. And that's going to be in collaboration with one of our existing corporate partners here, Swissport, who's sitting up front. We're very excited to have them support that initiative, as well as with Star Alliance, who's been working with us going on 1 year now. Geneva, it's still a secret. I cannot give you details on that, but that's an initiative we started probably about a year ago, and hopefully we'll be announcing exactly what we're going to be doing in Geneva in the coming months. Abu Dhabi, that's a new initiative with Etihad Airlines. We're very, very excited about that. It's going to be a travel and hospitality accelerator out of the Middle East. Singapore, we started about, I would say, 6 months ago, and we officially announced our first corporate partner. So we're going to be launching a travel program out of Singapore. And China, we've been active there out of Shanghai for about a year, and we're going to hold our first official travel accelerator launch later this month. These are the upcoming events for all these different locations. We're actually hosting an event in collaboration with Star Alliance in Frankfurt later this month. I believe 12 of their airlines are joining that event. Shanghai, as mentioned, June 27th. That's going to be our Travel and Hospitality Summer Summit. If any of you are interested in attending that, please let one of my team members know. Abu Dhabi, we talked about July 3rd, the event. Geneva, Switzerland, we have a tentative date for July 18th to launch that project. And our own selection day here in Silicon Valley is happening on August 28th, and I'm hoping most of you in the room will be there, the corporate partners. Again, as mentioned, none of this would be possible without our corporate partners. And as you can see from this slide, the list has been growing over the years. I have the pleasure of announcing a few new folks into the mix. Number one, IAG, International Airlines Group. We've been talking to these guys for about 3 years. And Glenn, where are you? Oh, right there. It took me 3 years to convince this guy he should be part of the program, which for travel standards is not bad, but very excited to have them on board. Secondly, Etihad Airlines I mentioned, but he's going to give you a quick speech as soon as I wrap up this slide. Etihad Airlines out of Abu Dhabi, and then ANA, who we've had the pleasure of unofficially working with, I would say for the past 3 years, has officially joined the practice as well, and Zach will be doing a quick introduction for us as well. And then out of the Middle East, besides Etihad, we're also working with ADGM for the travel and hospitality practice. Out of Singapore, our own Patricia, I don't know where you are, Patricia, she was able to bring on board Asia Development Bank for the travel and hospitality practice. So that will be our first official partner. But with that, I wanted to welcome Glenn Morgan, Head of Digital at IAG. And Glenn is going to give you a quick intro into IAG and why he decided to join the Plug and Play travel and hospitality practice after 3 years.
Thank you, Amir. Thank you, everybody. And it's great to see all the people here and colleagues. I've run into a bunch of people that I know from around the place. IAG's been sort of at this sort of type of work for, it's actually 6 years to the day that we run our first accelerator in San Francisco, where we run a live hackathon for the G8 summit from San Francisco to London and onto the G8. So IAG, for people that are not familiar, is actually the 6 operating companies, the 6 airlines of British Airways, Iberia, Vueling, Level, Aer Lingus, all of these carriers put together. So we're about a $25 billion business. We're one of the leading airline groups in the globe. And the partnership that we've been doing with Plug and Play really is to help us join our accelerator program, Hangar 51, up together with the deal flow that Plug and Play can bring towards us, and also for us to be able to flow some of our seed innovations and businesses back into Plug and Play's own accelerator. So we're looking really to expand our work in China, and that's one of the areas that we're really excited about working with Plug and Play. So welcome, and it did take a few years, but we managed to get here in the end.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. With that, I would love to introduce Zach from ANA. He's the Senior Director of Innovation. Also ANA, one of our newest airline members under the travel and hospitality practice.
Thank you, Amir. My name is Zach from ANA All Nippon Airways. I'm not quite sure you know this, but ANA is the largest airline in Japan. Anyway, I was here when the travel and hospitality division has been established. I was sitting back down there. I'm so excited to have a table down there. We are looking for any new technology service that increase efficiency on the operation side, as well as cost reductions or enrich the customer experience. And I'm based in Tokyo, but I do have a colleague down here named Masato, who is based in Palo Alto. So if you have wanted to contact us, just feel free to contact me. Thank you. Looking forward to working with all of you.
Welcome aboard. Thank you. Thank you. All right, one thing I forgot to mention about our European initiatives for travel and hospitality, we've been working with Vienna International for a few months now, and they're actually going to be a founding partner for that initiative as well, and they have a representative in the audience, a couple of representatives in the audience today. All right, now to our passion here, the startup world. What you're looking at is basically the investments we've made. Some of these startups came out of the accelerator program, some were startups that didn't go through the accelerator program, but we decided to back them with capital. The 2 most recent ones is a company called Moonfish, and I believe they have a representative here in the audience as well. It's 2 founders out of Facebook, who's sitting over there, working on another meta search, flight search platform. So from my personal perspective, I'm so excited to see talents coming out of Facebook and going into the travel industry. Secondly, Shep Travel in the TMC space. We've had the pleasure of knowing these guys for some time now, and they've been working very closely with our corporate partner, CWT. That is going really, really well, so we decided to also back them with some capital. Very excited about these two investments. By the end of this year, on the investment side, we're going to do probably 5 more investments. So if you guys know of good investment opportunities, please do let us know. My favorite slide, this is our team. I swear to God, my photo was not photoshopped. I did used to look like that. But really, this is what I'm most proud of here. Leo Chen, my co-pilot, he's going to be taking the stage here momentarily, our hospitality guru. Jordan Bray, our head of corporate partnerships. I believe his beard is a little bit shorter this time. Angela Shi, our venture associates, rock star, I think in terms of finding quality startups for our corporate partners or for investment purposes. She's taken the game to a new level. Renee Wagner, our new director of travel in EU. She's here somewhere. She's going to be leading the initiative in Vienna. Very excited to have her as part of the team. Olivia Yam, for those of you who don't know her, Olivia has been a plug and play for about a year, and she decided to join us as a community manager. She's hit the ground running. Michael Gregoriev, I hope I got that right. He's also part of the corporate partnerships, working closely with Jordan. Irene Wang, leading our initiative out of Shanghai, China. Patricia Nordstrom, leading our initiatives out of Singapore. And Roy, who is working closely with Angela on the venture side of our practice. With that, I would love to welcome my partner, or I should say business partner, that may be taken the wrong way, Leo Chen, who's the managing director of the Travel and Hospitality Program. Welcome, everybody. Really excited to have you, and hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of the sessions. Thank you.
Good morning. I promise I'm not going to take too much of your time because this event is all about the startups. But to kind of do a quick flashback, we've gone through 7 different batches. As Amir mentioned, we started in 2015, early 2016. All 7 batches had a good variety of startups, and a common thread here, 3 things. Stage agnostic, horizontally applicable across multiple industries, and last but not least, I want to demystify one important component. This is a zero fee, zero equity requirement program for opening to all of the startups. So for batch 7, everything started back in December of last year. Through hundreds of applications, we end up working with our 25 corporate partners to select 18 startups to become part of the program. So over the past 12 weeks, they've been working with our corporate partners, a fantastic lineup of mentors for which we are grateful, as well as VCs. And in terms of the themes of the startups that you're going to see today on stage, they cover a pretty good spectrum, including seamless journey, cybersecurity, booking platform, location-based services, a bunch of ancillary stuff when it comes to the traveler's journey, and I would say last but not least, big data analytics. And one of the components that all of these startups interact with as part of the program are the venture capitalists. So for Plug and Play, as more or less the Switzerland of VCs in the Valley, working with over 200 VC partners left and right, we thought it would be good for us to aggregate the data a little bit here and kind of share with the audience a more neutral perspective in terms of where we're heading. So as you can tell from the left-hand side, we kind of source the data from Skift. A big shout out to Seth, who's the analyst there, writing up the report, consolidating the data from CB Insights, PitchBook, so on and so forth. And so globally speaking, for 2018, the industry was able to get more or less $8 billion US into the travel tech field. And when you compare that to the entire VC world, for 2018, the number was $250 billion. So as you could tell, math-wise, 2 to 3% of the money end up going into travel tech. So it's a very small percentage of capitals, and yet this industry is still the largest industry in the entire world, and the startups that are here, the corporations that are here are coming together to make a difference, to attract more capitals, to create more disruptive technologies. In terms of the trend, There are more later rounds, bigger rounds happening in the travel industry. And then as far as the participation from CVCs are concerned, more or less, I would say, globally speaking, out of the $250 billion invested into startups, $50 billion out of 2018 were coming out of CVC. So for 2019 year to date, we just wanted to list a few notable investments into the travel industry. And the key takeaways here are really three things. One is the involvement of Airbnb. One will be the involvement of CVC. And then thirdly, the buckets that are getting a lot of the attention from the VCs. So starting with Airbnb. Out of all the logos that are listed here, there are at least, to my best knowledge, involved in 3 deals. Hotel Tonight's exit, $400 million, including a big chunk of their stocks, valuing the company more or less at 35 to 39 billion US dollars, and I'm talking about Airbnb. And then they're also involved in the round with regard to Lyric. For those of you that are not familiar with the space in North America, we're basically talking about Airbnb-alike properties that are being managed more or less like a hotel. And thirdly, they're also involved in the deal behind oil after SoftBank putting about $1 billion US dollars last year. Earlier this year, Airbnb also participated by putting close to about $200 million US dollars. So that's Airbnb. And the second thing I wanted to point out here is the whole tours and activities space that have been heating up since the later part of last year. And for those of you that are familiar, out of Asia Pacific, Klook is a big brand, and then out of Europe, Get Your Guide. And I think the common thread here is SoftBank end up leading both rounds. So the hypothesis we have here, which is shared by a lot of our media partners, is that SoftBank is playing this unfair advantage to this marketplace. In other words, they're backing the 2 biggest names, leaving the rest out of the competition. And ultimately, the game here is for the 2 to merge so that it will be world peace for tours and activities. And then finally, as far as CVCs are concerned, we have great partners in the travel space that are very active, not just to work with startups on POCs, but also to invest. So as 2 examples, for Upside, which is in the business travel TMC space, I believe our partners here from Flight Centre just took the latest round as a corporate round, taking over about 25% of their equities. Flyer Labs, which is a company focusing on revenue management for airlines, our corporate partner JetBlue ended up leading their latest round for their capital initiatives as well. And then last but not least, Booking.com has been very active over the last few years, but this year they have been quiet, although they've acquired a company, a very small company that raised only about $1 million before getting taken over, and it's called Venga. And I'm going to end my long pitch here with this one notion of personalization. Personalization happens everywhere, and we feel that personalization is a big thing to travel and hospitality. And when it comes to Venga, they're taking personalization over to the restaurant space, meaning adding a CRM play to the restaurant booking platform. And interestingly enough, for one of our CVC partners that end up investing in 7 rooms, they were not too happy with this acquisition. Why? Because OpenTable used to work with both, and now because Venga is part of the portfolio of Booking.com, it became a much tighter relationship, leaving a lot of the restaurant owners wonder, why should I be working with 7 rooms, not just Venga instead? So with that, I'm going to leave the stage over to Mr. Jordan Bray, who's going to officially kick off the program, walking you through the logistics for the rest of the program, as well as giving a warm introduction to all of the panelists for the keynote. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, thank you so much for coming. Just a little information before we get started on the panel. The Wi-Fi, if anybody needs Wi-Fi, the username is PNP Events, and there is no password. So that should actually also be on the back of your name badge too. Along with that information, there is a bit.ly link that you can get information for the entire agenda for the 3 days. You can see all the startups that presented at all the different expos with a little executive summary on each one of them. There's a map of the building, so if you get lost, you can get that information on there. Does anybody have any other questions before we get started? All right. All right, so for the panel, allow me to introduce Vipul Nakun from OAG, Chief Product Officer. And then from... And then next up, Dean Smith, President of America's Flight Center Travel Group. And Eric Frymuth, Group CMO, Managing Director of Hotels and Resorts at TUI Group.
Morning.
And last but not least, Jerome Thiel, Vice President of Digital Innovation at Singapore Airlines.
Thanks.
And Angela Shi, who will be moderating the panel. Thanks.
All right, let's give a warm welcome to all of our amazing panelists today who will kick off the conversation. So 1914, almost or more than 100 years ago, the world witnessed the first commercial passenger aircraft. And about 25 years ago, 1994, we saw the first online booking from a consumer traveler. Now today, the travel world has been evolved so much, and we have come a long way as an industry. So this panel is going to be about what's next in travel and how we're going to get there. Let's jump right in. Why don't we do a quick introduction here, of your organization, what each of you do in your team. Let's kick off with Vipul.
Sure, thank you very much, Angela. So Vipul Nakun, pleasure to be here, Chief Product Officer at OAG. That heritage you talk about, over 100 years, so OAG actually started its first publication of data back in 1929. So we're a very mature startup, if we can call ourselves that. So we're a world's largest provider of travel intelligence. Our data and analytics are plugged in throughout the air travel ecosystem. So our customers are airlines, airports, airport services, major travel techs, and startups in this ecosystem. And our data is used to be able to help them to compete and thrive by building appropriate solutions. So our customers are using our information to be able to grow their business, streamline operations, and ultimately delight the traveler. And we are here as a corporate partner of Plug and Pay just to make sure that we continue to be plugged in to how the variety of data can be used through the ecosystem.
Great. Dean Smith is my name. I'm the president of the Flight Center Travel Group here in the Americas. Flight Center Travel Group perhaps is the largest travel agency group you've never heard of. We're based in Australia, listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. You're hearing a New Zealand accent if you're interested, so you can say whatever you like about Australians. I probably agree with you. So we're about a $20 billion company in Australian dollars annually. In the US, Canada, Mexico, and Argentina business that I'm responsible for, we have about $3.5 billion of sales, US sales, billion US dollars a year. We operate in leisure, corporate, youth segments of the market. We are looking for innovative partners to partner with. We are here for acquisition. We are here for investment. We have acquired recently UMAPT, which we met through this program. And yes, we were on the board as the investor in Upside this year, and the dollar amount will remain undisclosed.
Okay, morning everyone. Angela, thanks for having us. I'm representing TUI. TUI is a German leisure travel group. We operate as a tour operator, serve more than 28 million customers a year. And we also are active in hotels and cruise, have more than 370 hotels and a couple of cruise ships. I mean, we are really interested to be here. We are here for a couple of years, have done a POC with one of the companies from last year, and really looking forward to being with all of you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Angela. Really glad to be here with you today. I've been with Singapore Airlines only for a year. I mean, as you can see, I'm not typical Singaporean, right? I still don't know if I'm more a French Singaporean or a Singaporean French. But I've been living in Singapore for 14 years so far. Singapore Airlines came into this digital transformation innovation program quite recently. But maybe as you know, hey, how many of you flew Singapore Airlines in the past? Raise your hands. Okay, so it's definitely not our domestic market here, right? So we joined this game a little bit more than a year ago, and as you know, Singaporeans, when they decide something, they commit really big time. So we have a CEO commitment on making like concrete progress in this journey. And I'm very happy to be the one leading this digital innovation program for Singapore Airlines, which is a huge, important program for us. Great. And I'm here really happy to, we did startups. We really did the horsepower that startups represent. And what a better place than here to get connected with you guys and try to do something in the future.
Great. Thank you for the brief introduction and kicking off this conversation. All of you, represent a very different stakeholder in the travel industry. I'm curious to hear from your seats, where do you see the most potential in the industry, and what are some either projects or technologies that you're excited about? Love cold calls. Jerome, why don't you start?
All right.
This
Okay,
time?
I'd pick it. It's a very complex question. Well, the way I would answer to this is if I look at the way my kids are using mobile, right, their mobile phone today, it's quite surprising. You should take time if you haven't done so, watching the way they're using. And I've realized the importance of the messaging app. Mm-hmm. They pretty much do. I mean, I was surprised my daughter picking up pictures through the messaging app rather than going in the gallery, and pretty much everything like that. So I'm like trying to figure out what this means. Because she's like now 13 years old. She's going to be flying. She's going to be a Singapore Airlines customer anytime soon. And we have to understand this move, right, this shift which is happening. And I think messaging platforms are becoming more and more important. I don't know how important they're going to be, but imagine when I look at the kids using the messaging app for pretty much everything and anything instead of using the native apps. Whenever the messaging apps provide it, I don't know if you guys are familiar with WeChat in China. For those who have ever used WeChat, which is the WhatsApp of China, if you will, or the Facebook of China, it's very surprising what's happening there. And I think we are quite fascinated, and we look very closely on that. And I think that's a source of inspiration for us there. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, maybe I go on. For us, it's definitely tours and activities. I mean, we've seen the valuation of Get Your Guide and Klook. We've acquired a business in Italy called Musement, and we try to combine this with our, let's say, customer base of almost 30 million customers. It's also a service that helps us to stay in touch with our customers more regularly, because normally a tour operator is a sun and beach proposition, so once or twice a year. But with that, we are able to, let's say, serve our customers much more often. Maybe besides that, it's really aggregation. So content and offer aggregation is one of our main interests and is where we put the money actually.
So we're still very much looking through the customer journey, those touch points, those opportunities where we can enhance the customer experience and link that in with a human interaction with our people. We're a human-based agency group. Maybe that seems odd to some people in the room, but our best revenues and our best profits come through relationships that are built strongly between our people and the traveler or the corporation. And so anything that can enhance that experience, anything that can make our people better, that make them appear better, and anything I think where the machine can act like a person. Instead of creating machines to replace the person, how can that really great skill, the mind that goes on in our best people's mind, be incorporated into the machine to make the experience better for everyone, including our not so good people and the customer itself. So they're the areas that are of most interest to us.
And from my perspective, I'd like to resonate what you said, Dean, is that what we find from OAG's experience of working with a variety of partners in the ecosystem it's the power of data. Data is the foundation of everything in terms of decision making. So some of the most exciting areas of innovation that we see is where technologies and data analytics are really building predictive outcomes or prescriptive outcomes. And some of the exciting ones that I see, there's a friend of Plug and Play, a company called Lumo, came through the previous batch, doing exciting things around predicting flight delay. But then we also have other partners or prospects out there doing really exciting things. You know, Abhi Gatwick, I know you're doing some incredible things with data. And just now he asked me for some more data in terms of what he could do with it. So it's about the essence of how can you provide analytical insight with predictiveness and prescriptiveness so you minimize and really solve the problems, what we saw in the opening video here, make the travel experience smooth.
Awesome. I hope all the startups in the audience are taking notes. So Dean, you mentioned about recent acquisition.
Sure.
I'm curious to hear, in terms of approach for each of your organization, how do you approach a new project when it comes to technology and innovation? Is it through acquisition, is it through capital investment, or sometimes it may be through internal R&D or commercial pilot? How do you make that determination?
So you're probably not surprised to hear that it's all of those. It's a combination. We identify the problem, therefore the opportunity, and then we assess the best way to tackle that. Sometimes we learn about things that we weren't aware of through events like this, so we can go, okay, that's a new way to look at that. But the example of, say, Upside was to go back to, they have worked on some predictive pieces through data, through customer data, and we're wanting to say, so my view is that I don't want to be told what's happening. I want to be given the solution. And the problem is I just need to get to my meeting. I don't care that the flight's delayed. So just someone needs to tell me where I need to go to get onto the right plane to get me to that meeting. And that level of predictiveness, but then telling me what to do is what we're looking for. So that was one of the reasons why we like Upside, but we deliberately decided there to go for a minority investment and not a full acquisition. UMapped, on the other hand, we thought had a full solution for one component of the customer journey, which we could acquire completely and give us a competitive advantage in the marketplace through that. So again, it could be an investment, it could be an acquisition. We build things ourselves. We have our labs in Boston, we have labs in Barcelona, Bangkok, Washington, DC, that great tech capital of the world, Brisbane in Australia. And from there, we build our own things as well. So it's a combination of all of the above.
Got it. Eric, do you have anything to add to this topic, given TUI has such a wide range of touch points in the travel industry?
Yeah, I mean, as just lined out, I mean, you have many different ways to approach, let's say, new businesses. For us, one of the key aspects is really to get it integrated. And the question is, do you keep it separate, running the risk that no one pays attention, or do you really, let's say, integrate it, running the risk that it slows down massively and, let's say, becomes very corporate-like immediately? I mean, we've currently, let's say, having a very intense discussion, I would say, and it's, in the end, from our perspective, of course, it's around people. I mean, the company Musement I was just mentioning is very much driven by the people who founded that business. They are super passionate, and they are making the difference, and we try to keep them in their environment, but still we would like to link it into our, let's say, sales channels. We need to make sure that the incentives are right. Mm-hmm. And as the business is so small and as our core business is so big, we really need to, let's say, put more emphasis and put in some boosters that gives them more attention. I think that's where we are struggling, but that's also where, let's say, the benefit comes in.
Jerome or Vipul, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I've spent a little bit more than 10 years as an entrepreneur running my own startups. I sold my last startup to one of the GDS out there. And I spent a little bit more than 10 years in corporate organizations, large corporate organizations like Singapore. And I've seen both worlds, right? And I'm very cautious and very conscious. I think at Singapore, we try to stay very, very conscious about the fact that we have to be very cautious when moving and building something with startups. We have no programmatic intention to acquire startups. If it happens, and it's great. But it's due to circumstances, context. but we'll always be very cautious in making sure that we let them run their operation at best, and keep them away as much as possible from what I would call the nonsense when you're on the other side, right? Which is not nonsense. Having been with corporate organizations, I've really enjoyed it, surprisingly. But all in all, I think it's a very difficult job to marry those two, different entities and make them work successfully together. Yep. And we have started the journey a year ago, so we were very, very new. We're still a baby in this process, and we have a lot to learn from you, more than you can probably learn from me. So really happy to share ideas and get your ideas on that. But step by step, we take baby steps.
If I can just add, from OAG's perspective, we're a little bit different. We didn't come to plug and play specifically to look for innovation and the problems we have at OAG, but it was more about a key theme that we struck in terms of our strategy, which is innovation through collaboration. We know at OAG, with all of our plethora of data analytics, we're not going to solve every single use case out there. So what we felt we needed to do was to offer our data and capabilities out to the ecosystem, and that's our investment to accelerate the travel ecosystem, use of data, and all the variety of use cases. So innovation for us, yes, we are solving challenges and problems inside OAG, and it's about data analytics, but we also know that we can supercharge the wider audience here with the use of our data and how we can partner around that.
And quite a few of you touch upon, the incentive and the people structure within the organization. Oftentimes, as we know in the audience here, both on the corporate side and the startup world, it's very difficult for the two parties to work together, and that's often a bottleneck for a lot of innovation within the organization. So what have you seen that works well within your team? Whether it's around people structure, whether it's around, do you have any particular tips for startups who are looking to partner with you on innovation?
So if I can take a stab first here, as number one, really tight alignment around strategic objective in that collaboration. And startups, if you're talking to a partner out there or a prospect, help try and get understanding of where that strategic objective it ranks within all of their other strategic objectives. Is it the number one item, or is it the 525th item in that rank? Because then it will tell you whether you're going to get resources available, collaboration, partnership, and that cohesiveness. I think that's number one. So strategic alignment is the first and foremost item. And do you have that executive sponsorship inside that organization in terms of that collaboration? Number two, team alignment, resources. We find that we work really well with partners where we've got resources lined up internally at OAG and on the other side as well. Makes a huge difference. So those are the two key takeaways. Number one, strategic alignment, and where does it rank in terms of their need?
So I think to follow up on that would be, where's the passion? So, we see a lot of people come through my office in Montvale in New Jersey, and I'm looking for someone to say, we're just absolutely passionate about this customer and solving this customer's problem. If that aligns with our passion, then we're on our way to getting it fit. And we'll be perfectly honest when we say, actually, that's not our passion. That's not gonna be a marriage that's gonna work for us. And the other piece, which sometimes perhaps is overlooked, is culture. We do talk a lot about trying to keep them separate and not interfere, but ultimately you're joining a family, and every family has a culture. The Flight Centre culture is quite distinct. So we're very conscious about making sure that those people who may join us, even from an investment perspective, that we're going to get along together on a cultural level.
Yeah, maybe in addition, we talked about culture and people already. I think it's sponsorship. If I see that, it's important, of course, to have strong contacts to, let's say, group strategy or these kind of departments within a corporate. But it's also very important to get to the people who really run the business and to create a strong personal relationship and get someone who's really keen of sponsoring you. In the case of TUI, we have many regional organizations. And I would always recommend to become a friend of one of those regional organizations and maybe start a little bit smaller, maybe not on the highest corporate level, but maybe more on, again, this regional level to create some success and then create this momentum that gets you then also into the other, let's say, territories.
I'm going to share a little bit the way we do it at Singapore Airlines. And I'm not saying this is the way you guys should do it, because it works for us, but it might not work for other organizations. But we have a kind of a unique way of starting point and kicking off innovation. Anyone at Singapore Airlines, a cabin crew, a pilot, ground staff, an engineer, can come at any time to us with an idea. The only thing you need is an idea. We're going to look at the idea. If the idea is interesting, if the business believes that the idea is interesting, then you, as an idea submitter, you're going to own the idea. You're going to build your prototype. You're going to build the proof of concept, the solution eventually. It's your solution, right? Mm-hmm. Why is that very important? The way I used to describe what we do is we don't do innovation. My team doesn't do innovation. What we do is we help people becoming innovators. And why is that important? Because think about the procurement lady, her name is Stella. She came to us like 6 months ago with an idea for a mobile app. And she goes through the process of building the app with us. We help her, right? She's not a programmer or coder by any means, but we help her building this app together. And she goes through this process, through this transformation process. She lives an experience, the pain, the difficulties, and the joy, right, of building that with us. And that's a transformation process, right? So we do it with 1, 5, 10, 50, 100 people, right? Going through this process of building something, putting innovation in action. Why is that important? I'm going to come to the startup point in a minute. It's important because when you do it that way, at least it works really well for us. It creates, they shine. It's their time. They come and present their app to an audience of 300 people internally, to the CEO and the leaders. Imagine this procurement lady coming back home with her mobile app, sharing this with her family, kids, husband, friends. This is my app. I did it. So imagine the sense of fulfillment and recognition they get from this experience, right? And other people look at that and they want their own, same experience. And it's creating a viral effect. And right now we have a difficult time to cope with the volume of ideas coming in. Now, why is that important? Because it's this inside-out process. You have the idea submitter and the business buying in from the beginning. And then when you eventually reach out to a startup, because there is an existing solution out there, because there's always someone doing something similar pretty much, then you engage with the startup with the buy-in of the business and of someone internally carrying the idea forward. And that, to me, has shown, with a little bit more than a year, has shown the virtue of that is once you reach the point where you start engaging and collaborating with the startup, the problem of getting this back to the business or supported by business is almost solved by definition. Okay, again, that's the way we do it. I'm not saying it's the way everything should be done. It has its flip sides, of course, but it's working really well and way beyond our expectations. Over the last 15 months, we have exploded our objectives just because it creates an internal dynamic which is very, very unique. I don't know. I still don't understand why it's happening. It's probably because it's Singapore. It's probably because in Asia. I don't see this happening like that, for example, in France, in my home country. But it's working really well where I am. And so since it's working well, we keep on pushing it, right? Yeah.
We like to see, innovation comes in all sorts of shapes and forms. So if it's happening, that's great. Something's working.
Exactly.
Vipul, I'd like to come back to a point that you mentioned earlier about strategic alignment. Right? Where often there are two types of problems. Sometimes we're just looking at the immediate pain point. We're looking at how to get the next customer in the door, how to solve the next experience problem. But oftentimes there's also long-term industry challenges. How do you think internally as you're balancing these strategic alignment? How do you dedicate resources? How do you think about to enable moonshot ideas out there?
Yeah, different companies approach that problem in different ways. But the first theme is customers first. customer intimacy is the first and foremost paramount question out there that we try to instill in OAG at every level of the organization. So we have the account management, the sales organization, product organization, the development teams, the customer support teams. We're asking all of them the same question: which customers have you spoken to this month? How many of them, what have you learned today? So customer intimacy is number one. Now, then you go off in two different directions. You got some companies who prefer to have a dedicated innovation team, and that's all they do. And some companies actually have embedded into the existing team. So the way we've done it is we've created agile teams around our various product and solution areas, and we make them accountable, and that's a mixed group of individuals. Everyone from, we've got the technology teams, the data team, the support team, salesperson, and of course the product organization sitting in that area, looking after a product area and the solution sets there. They are responsible for looking after what is incremental and in life today, and they are also looking after what could be a moonshot, what could be coming down for the future. The reason that's important for us is because they're living and breathing the use cases and the problem areas so intimately that they're able to bubble up those ideas. Now, in the future, or as we continue to learn, we may pivot a little bit to say, actually, some of these problem areas are so huge out there, or such a big opportunity, we do need to carve out some time, a special dedicated team for innovation. But right now, we're structured with 7 agile teams, looking at 7 product areas and problem areas for our customers, and they are accountable and measured against innovation in their own area. That's how we approach it.
Got it. Anyone else have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, I said it already. We are struggling a bit by integrating or separating it, and it's always this fine line that we need to manage. I'd say also when we talk about innovation in our core business, we are much better because we have much more competence and more people who are familiar with it. If we then talk to people who bring something completely new, we need some time ourselves to prepare the organization to really onboard not only the solution as such, but also the culture and the people. So it depends a little bit of how we are doing it. You were asking the question, what is the long-term challenge for us? And for TUI, our heritage is a very strong relationship to our customers and the confidence and the trust the people have into our brand, as well as the people they've interacted with. As our sales is now beyond 50% digital, it's more and more difficult to keep that, let's say, confidence and trust. And the question is, what can you do through digital means to, let's say, not only keep the trust you've created, but also to create that trust with, let's say, customers you haven't had before. And that's a very, very difficult process because on the one hand side, CRM, of course, is being made to sell more. But on the other side, where do you, or how do you manage this balance of giving advice and being nice to your customer, and at the same time being pushy and making sure that the CPO and these kind of things still work?
Yeah, and we're a public company, so the moonshot idea doesn't rest particularly well with some of our boards of directors. You know, just spend money and see how it goes. So that probably isn't within our culture. We are looking probably into the not the short term, but that next phase of disruption, and how can we be partnering with people to ensure that the customer experience keeps getting enhanced and that we're at the forefront of that and not on the back foot. So I think we're very much in that what's the customer need today and tomorrow, but not maybe in 20 years' time quite yet.
Jerome, do you have additional
comments? Yeah, just
comments?
a short comment. When you fly with Singapore Airlines, I flew with Singapore Airlines a lot. Again, I've lived in Singapore for 14 years, so I flew with them a lot before joining them. I love this company, this airline. You get this extra care, this extra touch. I don't know how to define it, right? And this is not the result of some magic. This is due to the fact that we spend 3 or 4 times more time, resources, and money in training our cabin crews, right? So this is our core value proposition. And digital innovation cannot be a substitute to that. That's very important to keep in mind. So everything we do, every initiative we take comes and is supported and backed up by the business, because this company has been successful and is probably one of the best airlines in the world today because of its people, right? I joined last year. The Singapore Airlines didn't wait for me to join to become innovative, right? So I think what we want here to do is making sure that we lift up what digital enables and all these methodologies and technologies, but always serving the purpose of making our customer happy and service excellence and making a delightful experience flying with Singapore Airlines. That's what we're looking at, always. So it's a conscious decision. It means that we don't go off track very easily, that we don't get excited with moonshots, exactly like you. It's more like an incremental innovation process. There is no wrong or right way, if you will, of doing innovation, right? It's just a way we choose, and we believe helps us really moving forward. And with the experience I shared just earlier, bringing our staff into this journey together, I think we have all the ingredients, hopefully, to, in the next few years, getting the company to be a true digital airline. Yeah.
Great. Well, we've spent a lot of time talking about how your corporation would innovate, how you see the industry. Now, if we were to switch gears a little bit, put your entrepreneur hat on, and I'm now giving you an opportunity to tell us about your moonshot idea, your wild idea. You know, if there's a magic wand, what would you want the travel industry, what would you want it to happen?
Yeah, maybe Jerome, you can work on getting, you can work on getting rid of flight times and these kind of things.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Why
You know,
don't you focus on that?
there's a lot of talk and a lot of concern around the impact of travel on the environment. So how can we create an impactless solution would be something that I'd look forward to.
Something radical. I want to take your magic wand and liberate it to every innovator in the world. So there's billions of wands out there. A couple of caveats, got to have a positive outcome, right? So the innovation has got to be a positive result. And it really kind of gets back to one of my original themes, which is innovation through collaboration. So how do we use the magic wand to drive more collaboration? Don't forget, innovation doesn't happen without failure, right? Through failure, we learn. And so if there were all magic wands out there, could we be where we want to get to? I don't know.
Only wish I can be the genie.
If you remove jet lag from the equation, that would be fantastic. I think there was one startup working on that very, very heavily.
Talk to Mickey afterwards.
And that's a nightmare for me. So really, that would be a great innovation.
Awesome. Well, so this is fantastic conversation, and thank you all for your insights. Again, I think all the startups and the corporates in the world hope everyone in the audience were enjoying the conversation and were able to take some notes on these magic ideas that we hope to happen, startups especially. So I'd like to please join me and thank our panelists again for this wonderful conversation that we've had.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Grigoriev. I'm a corporate partnerships manager for the travel team. Just a reminder, please look at the back of your passes and follow the instructions on how to vote for your favorite startups. As a reminder, we have 19 startups presenting, 14 from our current batch, so please only vote for the first 14. We're going to get started right away. So to kick things off, please welcome Emil from Blue Dot.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the summit. My name is Emil. I'm the CEO of Blue Dot. I'm here to talk about how accurate location data directly from mobile devices can transform how you understand and connect with your customers as they travel. Now, we know that in the travel industry, there's a really fractured and fragmented view of the customer. It doesn't matter if you're an airline, a hotel booking site, or a hotel itself. You have a fragmented view of the customer. You own one section of that journey, and it means that you're sharing that lifetime value. It's because of all of the disruption in the industry. Now, location data can help solve that problem by giving a complete view of the customer and giving you more touch points with them and owning more of that booking and that journey. Now, why is Blue Dot really well suited to solving this problem. It's because we understand the traveler journey. We solved one of the most complex problems in transport. We've all been in this scenario. We understand that we are stuck in a freeway, waiting to drive through a toll road, waiting to pay either with an in-car device or to pay cash, and we're jammed up. And we looked at that problem and said, why does that even need to exist? Why can't we have a seamless mobile solution that just understands where you are and solves that problem, that it just works? Why don't we understand using mobile all of the different points along that traveler's journey and seamlessly handle all of the interactions and transactions using just mobile? Imagine a world without stopping, without cash, without hardware, that seamless experience as you travel. And so that's what we did. We solved that problem. We created software that understands where each person is, down to the accuracy of a lane of a road, regardless of your mode of transport. It works passively from the background of the device, so the traveler isn't interrupted. And it can handle that first-party personalized transaction and interaction down to handling a mobile payment as you drive through a toll road. So that solution's in market with one of the world's largest toll road operators, Transurban, and our software powers that. And that software is available now to your company across the travel industry. It's an SDK that gets embedded into apps, and just like any other app with location services, we just do an incredibly advanced version of that. And we can solve some of these problems in the transport, in the travel industry. We detect the accuracy down to 20 times compared to the alternatives. You just use mobile, so it can go anywhere that the person's traveling, and it's first-party data. We don't aggregate insights. We don't tell you what travelers are doing in general. We tell you what that traveler with that booking or that reservation is doing. We talk about accuracy. What is the difference we're talking about? We're talking about the difference between understanding somebody is in, for instance, a soccer field, about 100 meters, where you're just guessing where they are and what they're interested in, down to the goal itself, definitively understanding that person and what they need then and there and what they're interested in. Imagine how that transforms how you engage that person. So what does that do in this industry? You can solve blind spots and take ownership of the customer again. Understand when and where they travel. Understand what they're interested in, how price sensitive they are. Are they looking for leisure or business travel, and are they interested in restaurants and rental cars and all the other services that we can provide? You use that to increase repeat business. So leverage that understanding to reach the customer, bundle up services, provide things that matter to them, and increase that lifetime value and that loyalty by providing relevant, personalized offers that are geared towards their travel. And then while they travel, use location data to provide a phenomenal experience that competitors just cannot provide. Make sure the services and the experiences that your business offers are not only seamless, but at the fingertip of the traveler when and where they need. This is the power of location data. And we work with companies besides Transurban, Ryanair, McDonald's, a whole range of businesses that are leveraging this location data to provide the next generation of engagement. And we integrate with all of the main marketing partners in market as well. So if you work with any of these guys, our location data can really be actioned for customer insights, for omni-channel engagement, and for analytics. Love to talk with you all. Hope you enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thanks, Emil. The next presenter holds over 50 visas, but hasn't used a single one. Please welcome Max from Sherpa.
Hey, thanks a lot. That's actually not true anymore. I've used one of them now. But before I get started, I just want to know, how many of you needed an ESTA for your trip to Sunnyvale? A few of you? Of you guys, how many of you found out about it a week before traveling? Just one, okay. All right, just one of you. Well, you are not alone. There are hundreds of people every day showing up in airports without the right travel document to get on their plane, figuring out they need it really late, really just generally making them confused and upset about their travel experience. And for all of you that haven't heard about e-visas or know what an ESTA is, when I talk about e-visas, I'm using it as a catch-all term for two different types of documents. One are e-visas, which are systems that replace a previous paper-based travel visa system. This is something that's happening more and more. But I'm also talking about ETAs, like the ESTA, which are basically electronic pre-screening systems that use the same type of technology. I'm going to use the two interchangeably. And why should you care about e-visas? Well, I'll tell you. couple years ago, there weren't a lot of e-visas out there. About 1 in 100 travelers, international travelers, needed some sort of e-visa to get on a plane. But then something really clicked, because now there are 56 countries that have either an e-visa or an ETA, and now about 1 in 10 travelers, international travelers, need an e-visa before their trip. That's why you're seeing a lot of people having these issues. And if this isn't a pain point for you now, just wait a year, because by the end of 2020, there are going to be more than 100 countries that have an e-visa or an ETA. This is going to be after Europe turns on their ETIAS system, but there are lots of other ones turning on as well. So this is what Sherpa does. We sit in between the user and all of these different governments. We check on a daily basis to make sure that we know all of the actual requirements, right down to the actual field that someone needs to fill out a form. And we provide tools to integrators that make it really easy to let people know about what they need. What this looks like, here's how Icelandair is using it, letting people know in a really nice contextual format, hey, this is actually what you need for each leg of your trip. We guide them through the process, which opens up about $10 billion in ancillary revenue yearly. And we validate. This is actually really one of my favorite parts of the experience, is just being able to show my e-visa on my phone next to my ticket. And there is a huge ancillary revenue opportunity, but there are also big cost savings opportunities, because you probably don't recognize it, but right now, e-visas are putting a really big drain on your resources in the airport, and making it really tough for people to use your products and services. We've got an awesome team. I've got 1 second left. Great team. On our board of advisors, we've got the person who implemented the ESTA, which is really cool. Yeah, thanks so much for having me here, and come talk to me and Jake. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Max. Up next, we have Doug from Glassbox.
Hi, guys. Thank you for entertaining me, and I hope to entertain you. My name is Doug Suval, and I'm the head of sales at Glassbox. And these are some of the major customers that we have in the travel industry. Also, Jerome's company has recently become a customer of ours as well, with Singapore Airlines. And really what we're trying to address is digital. Okay, there's a lot of challenges in the digital environment in the travel space. Very specifically identifying and reproducing errors that customers are having, the struggles that they're going through, giving a positive experience to those people that are struggling, and then call the call center, getting them off the phone, finding out why they struggled, fixing the actual problem, understanding the journeys that people are taking in digital. Are they doing what we intend them to do? Are they able to convert like we want them to? And if they're not, why, right? And the problem that exists today is that you guys need visibility. And the problem is that the tools that you use today involve tagging, involve a huge amount of IT effort, and you're not getting it all, right? So what we do is we automatically capture every single session on a big data platform. We automatically index the data, like Google. So we make it so that you can find sessions instantly. You can find problems, every single one of them that's happening, not only in one session, because not only do we capture all the data, we give you replay of every single session. We're then able to take one single replay and aggregate what is going on here for the entire traffic patterns. How can we fix root cause problems, okay? We also are providing not just replay and data, because we are a full data pipe of digital data that's indexed. We're also giving you out-of-the-box reporting, okay? For example, on mobile, we will give you full visibility every single session, okay? Every crash, the struggled views, everything that's out there for you. In addition, we're taking all of the data and we're creating a picture that's of every single session automatically. This is created out of the box, without tagging, without configuration, and represents the full traffic of anybody's website. Every single step they went through in the journey, where the drop-off points were. And this is dynamic. You can click into it and understand, why did people drop? It was because Microsoft Edge browsers in Croatia were having a problem, or a certain ISP was having an issue. But all of the data is here at your fingertips without IT configuration. It's actually mind-boggling. Other things that we're doing is we're implementing machine learning so that not only can we detect when there are anomalies happening, but we can quantify those IT problems as related to the business. So because of this issue, $1.2 million was lost in revenue because of a certain browser or dimensions that are not being handled in a digital way. In addition, fraud has become very, very big. Okay, I can manipulate myself, your data object model, hit F5, and have a screen that has a fake price. I can send that to your support. You have to honor me unless you have a recorded session of what I did and proof that I manipulated it. We are able to catch these things. So benefits from using us: find every struggle instantly. Okay, take data in digital in real time and use it across the organization without having to involve IT, okay, without having them to look into a problem, reproduce an issue which they may never be able to, okay? We're able to do things in real time. We're able to fix errors. We're able to understand struggles. We're able to reduce costs involved with digital throughout the entire organization. So if you guys are using products like this, T-Leaf or ClickTail or Quantum or AppSee or Crashlytics, Dynatrace, if you have familiarity with these technologies, please come visit us at the booth, and we're going to show you something very, very cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Doug. The next presenter is a citizen of the world, spending 10 years in Guatemala, 6 in Canada, and now lives in Poland. Please welcome Rodrigo from Neton.
Hello, everybody. So I want to talk about theft for a second, and so more specifically, payment fraud. So payment fraud is the phenomenon of somebody using a stolen credit card to make a purchase online, and this is a very big problem in the travel industry, as I'm sure you all know. Such a big problem that actually I guarantee that everybody in this room has a fraud management team. This team can be of one person up to hundreds in the largest airlines. Yeah. And so yeah, I just want to kind of dive into and give you a little bit of context of how this problem is being solved today, and maybe some improvements that can be made. So as I'm sure that you all know, the travel industry isn't known for having the most agile IT resources in the world. And this has created some friction, especially for these fraud management teams. So these teams are now using what we call quote-unquote legacy systems to be able to detect fraudulent transactions. So what I mean by legacy systems here is basically they're taking a look at less than 100 variables and using statistical rules to be able to detect which transactions are going to become fraud and which won't. So a quick example here. As I said, I'm from Guatemala, so I guess I'm allowed to make this reference. But let's say you're realizing that transactions which are being made with a card that was issued in Mexico and the IP address is coming from Guatemala, you might realize that actually 90% of those transactions turn out to be fraudulent, and then you're going to create a rule which blocks all those transactions. So this type of, let's say, rule setting is actually having a huge cost for the industry. So this cost takes two different forms. First is, of course, the rules aren't perfect, so some fraud does get through, and this is this $1.3 billion here. This is how much it's costing. These are in the form of quote-unquote chargebacks, and it's growing at 15% CAGR, so it's really exploding. And then, of course, the rules also aren't perfect, meaning that you're blocking some customers which are legitimate customers. And in this particular case, it's even worse because 65% of the time, they don't come back. And that means that you're losing the entire lifetime value of that client. And so the estimated cost of that is $6.5 billion a year, also growing at 13 to 15% CAGR. So what are we doing to solve this issue? There we go. So within Nethone, what we did is that we realized that all these purchases are being made online. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to be focusing on 100 variables when you have so much more data available to you. So we created some technology which allows us to pick up over 5,000 different attributes about a user as soon as they land on your page. And we also realized that using statistical rules let's say this was developed in the 18th century, so there's really cool stuff that's been developed in the 20th century and now 21st, which is machine learning. So what we're doing is actually using machine learning to be able to correlate these 5,000 different attributes to fraudulent behavior, and then basically giving a live recommendation to our clients right before the purchase is ever made. And these, both the supplementary data and the machine learning together have allowed us to get much better precision. So that means that the fraud that actually, this is a particular case of the third largest online travel agency in Brazil. And so what we did is we actually were able to lower the chargeback, so the fraud that got through, by 6%. But more importantly is this number here. We were actually able to reduce the amount of rejections that were made, so clients that were being refused, by 23%. Typically, reject rates can go anywhere from 4 to 10%. So imagine like if you're rejecting 10% of your traffic and we're able to decrease that by 23%, that's 2.3% supplementary revenue top line. And this is what we're generating for this particular client. They're not the only person that we're working with. We're also working with the likes of Azul, Lot Polish Airlines, and for those of you who know luxury, we're also working with Farfetch, which is the largest luxury, the fastest growing luxury company in the world currently. Yeah, come talk to us if you want to prevent theft.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Just a reminder, after all the presentations, all the startups will have demo tables upstairs, so feel free to go see them upstairs. Up next, we have Ty from Hoopo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ty. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Hoopo. With our GPS-independent technology, we help our customers make smarter decisions. We help customers optimize logistic efficiency, reduce turnaround times, and prevent flight delays. In order to do that, you need to track your assets. So you can use GPS, but then what happens is that you have to go and replace the batteries all day long. Or you could go with low-power technologies like RFID and Bluetooth Low Energy, but at the end of the day, you still don't know where your assets are at because these protocols are extremely limited in communication range. So at Hoopo, we solved just that. What we do at Hoopo is we use an accurate tracking technology based on low-power, wide-area communication protocols, which basically mean that a small device like this can transmit to miles over miles, but remain so low power that you don't have to replace the battery for the entire lifetime of the asset. The implementation is quite easy. The gateways, which are the basis of our technology, are basically plug and play, pun intended. Once you have several gateways, under 10, you have full coverage for the entire airport, and you can start integrating the HoopoSense devices to your dollies or other kind of GSEs. The device transmits a low-power wide-area message, which is forwarded to our Hoopo Logic platform that analyzes the data and provides accurate position over a nice dashboard. However, no one cares about location. No one cares about X and Y coordinates. What people care and what we do at Hoopo is we convert the location data to actionable insights. A good example with one of our customers is the need to make sure that no one is loading the wrong bags to the wrong dolly. So we added an indoor location technology that associates dollies with loading docks in order to prevent mishandling of baggage. Now, this makes us one of the only companies in the world to offer both indoor and outdoor location technologies using a single communication protocol. And we do whatever we can to make sure that the customers get the positive ROI, because otherwise it just doesn't scale in IoT. And all of these features together make sure that we offer the right value to ground handling companies, airports, and airport authorities alike in order to save on money. So we offer a solution with the lowest cost of ownership. With few dollars a year, you get full service and location technologies for all your assets. Throughout this program, we actually closed our seed round of $3.5 million coming from strategic investors from Germany, Israel, and Japan. We grew the team to 15 people and actually also announced last week the first commercial customers of ours. In the next couple of weeks, we will actually announce the first one of the largest airports in Asia who's deploying our technology as well. Airport and aviation is one of our verticals. We're also gaining momentum in the supply chain logistics space, and this is just the first steps of us becoming the leading low-power location platform for IoT. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll be upstairs. We're not smart asses. We're making smart assets. for you to make smarter decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ty. Up next, Igor from VisionBox.
Good morning. Thanks for this opportunity. So VisionBox, we were founded back in 2001. Our core is border control and seamless passenger experience. We were the first company to bring biometrics to the border, to the immigration world back in 2006, and to implement the first seamless passenger experience in Aruba back in 2015, where you can walk freely in the airport with your face without showing any document. We have presence in more than 80 airports. Out of these, 700 million passengers are using our solutions every year. So just a quick overview on who are our partners, our customers that are helping us to shape this industry, bringing innovation to the table. And our vision. So it doesn't matter if it's a hotel or an airport or a stadium. Nowadays we need to prove who we are, that we are who we say we are, more and more. And this can be done using a passport, a driver's license, a citizen card. And our vision is that this should be replaced by biometrics, by the usage of your face. And as everyone was mentioning, data, touch points, stakeholders, so a platform that is able to connect all the different stakeholders, all the different touch points, and share the data in a secure and proper way, breaking up the silos that exist in all the different, in this case, airports. So this is our footprint, where we started back in 2015 in Aruba, but we are now rolling out this kind of solutions, these kind of programs all over the globe with Schiphol, one of the major European installations that we have. And since a video speaks more than 10,000 words, this is an example of our installation in Uruguay. So more seamless than this, you will not be able to find. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is a Danish entrepreneur who spent most of his childhood traveling, so he set out to get rid of jet lag. Please welcome Mickey.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mickey Bager Clausen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Timeshifter, the jet lag app. So hundreds of millions of people are struggling with jet lag every year. And the consequences are much more substantial than feeling off for a couple of days, regardless of why you travel. And yet, what we do does not solve jet lag. There are all these very interesting examples that we try to apply to alleviate jet lag. Unfortunately, no generic solution can solve the underlying cause of jet lag and can even make your jet lag worse. So the problem and the solution we'll find in our brains. In our brains, we have a 24-hour circadian clock. And when we move to a new time zone, we disrupt this clock and we experience the symptoms of jet lag. The key time cue for the clock is not staying hydrated, it's not the food you eat or exercise you do, it is light exposure. And this is based on high quality clinical studies. There's absolutely no doubt that that's what's helpful and what's causing jet lag. So if you time the light exposure correctly, if you see light and avoid light at the right time, you can shift your circadian clock 3 to 5 times as fast as normal. So it's not a little incremental improvement of jet lag. It really is the difference between feeling off and feeling really good. The other thing that can help and accelerate the adaptation a little bit more is the right type, the right dose of melatonin at the right time. But if you don't do the timed light exposure, melatonin won't help you and might even make your jet lag worse. So TimeShifter, the jet lag app, we launched in June last year. And it's the most user-friendly way to apply the science I just mentioned to you. I have a NASA astronaut that is going to talk a little bit about the app over the next minute.
What you're saying, what comes out of NASA, I think what's very gratifying about this product that's being developed here is that it comes from a lot of the lessons we learned at NASA. And it's funny you're saying some of the ideas of people tell you, how do you do this, and it's a lot of it is made up hearsay of people saying, well, this works for me, or drink this, or drink that, or take a nap upside down, or whatever. You know, people have got all these home remedies that are a bit nutty, I think, for lots of things. And it's very interesting now in the age we are where we can collect data and study things and have apps that can help us where you can apply the math, the science, the methods behind it and come up with an answer. And sometimes it's different than what you would expect. You know, if it was easy to figure out how to sleep shift, then none of us would ever be jet lagged. But without a tool like this, you're kind of guessing of what you need. And I think it's much better, and what we found at NASA, it's much better to use data to help you make those informed decisions. And I think it's great that this is something that was at a necessity for us to keep astronauts awake while they're doing their job. Now it's turned into something that I can use in my travel now, and not as an astronaut.
So all you need to do in the app is type in your sleep pattern, your chronotype, or your morning person or night owl, and your itinerary, and it will come out with a highly personalized jet lag plan that will tell you exactly what to do and when to do it. What I'm really excited about is the interest we're seeing from the whole travel experience, from the whole travel industry, across the spectrum from OTAs, airlines, hotels and resorts, insurance companies, car rental companies, because the problem is so significant. In about a month, we're launching version 2. Offline, I'm happy to take you through and share a little bit more about what version 2 will include. You can also meet me upstairs at the table, and I can give you a demo and a free subscription. We are looking for channel partners, corporate customers with many traveling employees, and we're also raising a new fresh round of capital to move on to the next level. And thank you, Plug and Play. This has been really, really an exciting experience for us.
Thank you. The next presenter has been to every single country in Latin America. Please welcome Carlos from Red Knot.
Thank you, and thank you, Plug and Play. I'm CJ, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Red Knot. So we've all traveled the world, and think of the last time you went to the emerging world. It's difficult. You arrive at the airport, it's crowded. You see a bunch of faces, some of them are solicitors, and you finally made it to your hotel. In there, you realize that you want to go out, but you don't speak the language. There are barriers, there are infrastructure limitations, and you decide to go online and book a tour. And this is where you end, with a bunch of people doing something that is prepackaged, standard, not tailored for you. Now, think of a time in which you went to one of these places where you knew someone. What if you knew someone in every foreign city you visit? They pick you up at the airport, they take you to your hotel, you coordinate with them and plan it from there. You get to visit all these amazing places with them. This is what we're building. Now, the demand from the first world to the emerging world is going to grow, and the emerging world is going to be the engine of growth, particularly in travel. And there's a silent supply sitting there hoping to host everyone, and there's a pride aspect in us to share the beauties of our countries to people visiting our places. This is what we're building. RedNet is a two-sided network of trusted locals that provide in-destination and on-end services in the emerging world. Our solution is unique that through technology, we engineer the human connection, and we nudge you and recommend you locals that are like you and that are gonna make you have a great experience. We're well focused on providing trust first. We've cracked that already through analytics and a very thorough process of vetting. And then we take it from there. We ask our travelers what is it that they want, who they are, or Algo recommends them a set of locals. They read their profiles, go through them, connect with them, and then they start planning and coordinating the trip beforehand. Once they get at the airport, they see this friendly face, and they take it from there. Technology allows us to manage everything and monitor everything online. We've tested and validated through our betas, and people loved it, both the travelers and the locals. So, you know this, travel will continue to grow. It's gonna be massive, particularly the emerging world. And we think that we're creating a different point of view. There's gonna be the current travel and the travel in the world with locals through locals. Why us? Ben, my co-founder, is from Australia, has faced this. Leo is from Brazil, and he's the one cracking the technology, and I'm from El Salvador, and as we've mentioned, we've visited every single place. We have tailwinds right now. People are used to take rides from people that they don't know and stay at places they don't know. This is a natural next step. And the region is also getting a bunch of investment and give birth to a bunch of unicorns ready. What we're looking, one airline and one hotel to partner with and to build this technology together. Thank you.
Thanks, Carlos. The next presenter used to officiate men's Division I college basketball, so any boos probably won't hurt him, but don't boo, please.
Hi, my name is Kenny, and I'm one of the co-founders of Baccarai, and quite simply, we are empowering the airlines to automate their group sales and publish offers online. So, really high level, the basics. Every airline in the world sells a group product to, this is for passengers of 10 or more, traveling together from point A to point B, usually. The product includes free name changes and also allows you to delay payments and maybe most importantly has free cancellations. So what is the problem with group airfare? Well, it's pretty simple. Over 100 major airlines around the world sell it offline. This includes some of the biggest, most innovative carriers in the world. An airline runs largely a call center as a distribution method. This costs them, on average, $8 just to distribute pricing. And there is no central marketplace for group airfare, so this causes a very fragmented customer journey, which actually impacts the airlines in the tunes of millions of dollars. So to really dive into the insane customer journey, meet Derek. Derek is a travel agent, and there is no central marketplace for group airfare yet. So he has to contact each individual airline and hold 50 seats as he shops. Now, he doesn't need 50 seats, or he doesn't need 200 seats, rather, so most of these seats will end up canceling. This obviously throws revenue management into a frenzy and affects pricing. Our solution, quite simply, we are building a central marketplace for group airfare while providing the airlines the technology to automate their group sales programs. The world is changing. There are a handful of airlines in the last 5 years that have adopted a digital groups product, and 2 more that we know are on the way. If you are in the audience and you're an airline and are wasting millions of dollars a year via a call center, and you have no digital groups portal, we can help you build one. We're currently developing an out-of-the-box solution for you to adopt. And once you have a digital product, we believe that putting it into a central marketplace gives you the most bang for your buck. We started off playing around in some NDC sandboxes, so our group product will be NDC friendly as well. And every time that we make this pitch, the airlines always say, okay, this makes sense, but what's in it for us? So really quite simply, we can reduce your labor cost, we can reduce cancellations, and we believe that we can increase your revenue on your group's product, your profit, as up to 50%. Our business model is fairly simple. We charge a per passenger ticketing fee. There are about 200 million group tickets that are booked each year. And for our travel agent friends, we charge a monthly subscription fee to use the platform. And this is really to simply escape being on the phone for multiple hours a day. Currently, we are in development. If you would like to have more information about pilots, partnerships, please come and see us upstairs. Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny. All right, guys, we're going to take a 15-minute break. We have coffee and food over there, bathrooms over there and over there. They're everywhere. But we'll see you back at 10:45. Oh, and please. All right, guys, 5 more minutes. Please start making your way back to your seats. Thank you. All right, guys, please make your way back to your seats. We'll get started in 1 or 2 minutes. All right, welcome back. We're going to get started. The next presenter has been through 68 airports in 365 days. Please welcome Max from Messiah.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, my name is Max. I'm co-founder and CEO of Asaya. Our mission is to enable affordable air travel for the next decades by making the apron a more efficient, a safer, and more sustainable place. And we execute against this mission by building the apron operating system of the future. Formula One pit stops have evolved tremendously over the last 60 years. So behind me, you can see a pit stop in the 1950s, and you can see that it's super slow compared to today's pit stops in Formula One. Super slow. That's the same process in 2013. And our goal really is to bring the same level of improvement in process efficiency to the aviation industry, specifically to ground processes. So we're providing an AI-driven solution that's turning video streams from the ramp into timestamps for turnaround processes, into predictive timestamps for future processes, and alerts about safety, risks and safety. Using such tools will very soon be inevitable for the aviation industry, with the aircraft fleet scheduled to more than double over the next 20 years, and at the same time having ground processes that are slow and very labor intense on the ground. And these processes at the same time, they yield incidents, they yield delays, which are totally preventable from our point of view. So what we're doing with Glenn's team, for example, in Heathrow Terminal 5, is we're piloting a real-time dashboard that allows BAs, turnaround coordinators, to identify exceptions in ongoing turnarounds within 15 seconds instead of 5 minutes. And we estimate that a full rollout over Terminal 5 would decrease their cost in terms of delay-related costs and staff costs by around $14 million per year. Optimized engine startup times are estimated to reduce United's fuel bill by around $100 million per year based on predictive milestones. In terms of our go-to-market, our goal is really to tackle the aviation industry, which is a network industry, by going for the biggest nodes, for the biggest airports and terminals first, and then spread across the industry to the smaller nodes. And to this extent, we have implemented 24 pilots across 5 continents, and we currently have $2 million in ARR close to signing. Our roadmap has a clear plan to increase the value per gate that we can generate from a pure data capturing solution to an orchestration layer for the entire apron. And to this extent, we have a wonderful team working with us who's written software that's running in the Pentagon right now and who's managed a terminal with more than 250,000 turnarounds per year. And that's really the wonderful opportunity that we have right now is we're in a perfect position to use venture capital to accelerate the time to have a rollout across the biggest nodes of the network and essentially build a defensible network of deployments across the entire globe. Thanks.
Thank you, Max. The next startup is a software as a service with an Italian twist. Please welcome Gianluca from Parsi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gianluca, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Parsi, the next generation event management software. The corporate event market in the United States is worth more than $320 billion, with more than 1,000 business events every month in the only city of San Francisco, and a 20% growth in 2018. Looking at these numbers, you may think the events industry is well organized and digitalized. But the truth is that today, organizing a corporate event is complicated, and most of the process is still managed manually. For the event manager, it's almost impossible to stick to the budget because of hidden costs and hidden fees of services. Organizing an event is a long process that requires days and in some cases, months, where the event manager has to deal with all the stakeholders involved in the organization, such as suppliers, clients, and attendees, exchanging thousands of files, with different formats and through different platforms. Because of these problems, today it's impossible to create data-driven solutions for the event. The solution to these problems is Parsi, a platform that allows event manager to create, collaborate with all the stakeholders into the same platform. Parsi collects data before, during, and after the event. And with this data, we are now building our machine learning algorithm. Thanks to our algorithm, we will provide to the event manager turnkey solutions for their event, saving thousands of hours of work and thousands of dollars. Parsi, compared to our competitors, is the only platform providing machine learning and collaborative network all in the same platform. So far, we are already working with some of the most important corporations in the world, such as BMW and Johnson & Johnson. So far, we already have 14 events organized with more than 7,000 attendees, and we are using the data of these events to create our next goal, automate the event process. Our next goal is to have 100 events organized in the Bay Area with more than 90,000 attendees. And on the second quarter of the next year, we will have more than 500 selected suppliers in our platform. On the third quarter, we will release our machine learning algorithm. Our team is the best team to disrupt the events industry. I have more than 10 years of experience in event management and luxury hospitality. Diego, more than 10 years of experience in UX design, and Marco, 10 years of experience in software as a services. Our advisor, Giorgio Ponticelli, has an incredible track record transforming small startups into IPOs companies. So we are Parsi, we are an experienced team. We have a clear roadmap to build the event management of the future, and today we are raising our seed round. So if you want to know how we are reshaping the events industry, come and talk to me, Marco, and Diego. Thank you.
Thanks, Gianluca. The next presenter plans on trying every single burger in the Bay Area, every single one. Please welcome Vilat from Situm.
Hi, everyone. Yesterday I drove I used Google Maps to guide me from SFO to here. And when I got here, I parked the car. I needed to get to Mount Diablo room. Does anybody know where that is? Google Map was useless for me. It didn't work. Why? Because the GPS, the key enabler, doesn't work indoors. So imagine if you had GPS indoors, imagine the possibilities of what you can do. So GPS of indoors is available today. We have that solution. And I'm going to tell you a bit about what Situm provides. So this is a team that made the technology happen. And the solution is based on existing infrastructure. So we take the existing RF, we use whatever the sensor is that's available on these devices, run it through an algorithm, spit out the coordinates, and then that's the estimate of the location of this device when indoors. So with that technology available, you know what you can do with that information. So the advantages of our technology is that it works offline, it works when the device is in the pocket, and it requires minimum infrastructure. What that means is that CapEx is low, OpEx is low. So there are other benefits there. There are a lot of companies with similar solution trying to solve the indoor GPS problem, and you can see them here. These are only a few of those companies. There are larger ones that are doing the same addressing the same problem. But we believe that we stack up quite well against these guys. Situm is a Spanish company. As you can see, they focus primarily in Spain initially, and then now, just last year, recognized by Gartner Magic Quadrant, and Focusrite. So we have our technology is deployed at airports, at also train stations, and being a proof concept on cruise ships. So my request to you is, if you're here, you're looking for solutions to your problems. If one of the problems is indoor location awareness, you need to have a look at us, because we have a solution that would work for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vilat. The next presenter's claim to fame is never working on anything less than the speed of sound. Please welcome Norris from Exosonic.
Hello? Universally, we want things to be faster. Whether that be our internet service, our computers, or our transportation. Then why are we okay that our flights from SFO to JFK still take 6 hours when it took that same time 50 years ago? And do we really imagine that 50 years later, it's going to remain 6 hours? The answer is no. Some way or another, it's going to change. It's going to be faster. And we believe the answer is quiet supersonic transport. My name is Norris T, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Exosonic. And today I want to share with you why our airline customers and their time-sensitive business travelers care about this product. Also, how we have the best foundational team to get this company started, and how with increased globalization, there's a lot more aircraft and passenger demand, and of course that leads to greater competition for supersonic transport. And finally, we of course have a clear plan to deliver on this ambitious project. So airlines are always looking for a way to differentiate themselves from the competition. And we're going to provide them a new angle, speed. And that's important to their most valuable customers who are time-sensitive business travelers. We've all been there where we flew countless times across the country or abroad. And it stinks to be on an airplane. We just want to get to our destination, close that business deal or meet that customer, and get back to our loved ones. And so providing faster travel, we can provide better work-life balance for those premium time-sensitive travelers. And for the past 2 years, we've developed the best foundational team to get this company started. We have a team of Stanford MBAs and Aero-Astro grad students, and all of us have experience in designing aircraft either in academia or in industry. We also have a world-class set of advisors who are experts in not only aircraft design, but also the airline industry. And with all of our collective brainpower, we developed our first concept, which is this Mach 1.8, 60-passenger, 4,500 nautical mile supersonic aircraft. Now you might be wondering, why are we so special? And it's because of our elongated fuselage, which mutes the sonic boom and allows us to fly supersonically over land. And we'll be the first in the world to develop that commercially in an aircraft. Now, with the next 20 years, there's going to be over 47,000 new aircraft to service the 10 billion passengers that are coming on board. And so, of course, this is going to be a competitive space. And there's a few competitors. Aerion, they're a supersonic business jet company providing supersonic business jets for wealthy people. So we don't really see them as a competitor because they don't service airlines. Now, some of you may know Boom, and they're out there already working with some airlines. And the one difference that we have between them and us is that we can fly supersonically over land. They can only do over water, which is basically repeating the same tragedy of the Concorde. Now, Boeing is a big player, then invested in Aerion, and Airbus is not willing to take another risky bet because of the A380 fiasco. Now, we know this is an ambitious project, and we have an ambitious timeline. We've broken it up into 4 phases. And so currently, we're in the concept phase, where we want to develop a third-party conceptual design, or a conceptual design review, and have it vetted out by third-party experts like NASA or Lockheed. We're currently raising our seed round of $4.8 million to hire a best team of 12 engineers and business people to help us achieve this dream. If you're interested in learning more, and of course there are more details, we'll be at the booth, and we're happy to work with you in ushering in a new era of supersonic transport. Thank you.
Thank you, Norris. Take it over there. Up next is a company that has sent 3 billion messages on behalf of their customers. Please welcome Tom from Airship.
Hey, I'm Tom from Airship. You might know Airship as Urban Airship, so we recently rebranded. And we help some of the brands in the rooms to deliver engaging experiences in real time to not only customers and passengers, but also to their employees as well, which is really relevant throughout the travel industry. I head up travel, and what's really fun about travel is that we help brands to really streamline the experiences that customers and travelers have and reduce the friction that's involved in the customer journey. We heard earlier on, actually, from the panel where they said that it's important to make sure that there's less stress in travel, and our organization is actually helping to do that. We find that when you do reduce the stress and make it much more of an enjoyable experience, you're able to really empower your brand with your customers to be much more loyal. And we've got lots of different stats. Chase and I, and my partner here, will be upstairs later on, and if you want to hear some more, I can definitely tell you about that. What's really important, though, is that we work across all different industries, and we work with some of the world's largest airlines, online travel agencies, travel management companies, hotels, etc. And the reason why these brands choose Airship is because we're commonly named as the leader in our industry with Gartner and Forrester, but also, which is more important in the travel industry, is because we're built for the enterprise brands. One of the facts that was given, that we actually have sent over 3 trillion messages up until now. That's completely unmatched in our industry. We're able to send over 4 billion messages in any one day, and if you think about apps in general, we're able to deliver over 500,000 messages in any 1 second, which is really key. If you've got a family of 5 and they're at a gate, and there's a change of that gate, then they need to know about that information immediately. And it's really key that they get that information when they're ready on that in the journey. So they might have actually downloaded your app that very day, so you might want to pause specific messages that are sent on that day. Or they might not even have your app. They might have only just downloaded the mobile boarding passes. Well, you should be delivering those messages through those channels as well. And then finally, it's really important to deliver those highly targeted, sophisticated marketing messages. And we do this through a number of different channels, whether it be SMS or MMS, which is soon moving to RCS, through your website or your mobile app, or even through the mobile boarding pass. And we can help you to orchestrate these messages to send to your individual users with some really sophisticated personalization, but also to the channel that they choose or the brand priority that you decide. So if you want to learn more, please do get in touch with me or meet us upstairs afterwards. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. All right, so the next 5 companies are not from our current batch. We wanted to highlight them as we're considering them for the next batch. So they're not eligible for voting, but please welcome Mark from Yilu.
Imagine if your entire journey was speaking with one voice. My name is Mark. I am the CEO of Yilu. Yilu is a Mandarin word and means the entire travel journey. And this is what we are trying to do. We want to make it more seamless and enjoyable. I'm pretty sure that everybody in this room agrees that travel is still fragmented. And while we are traveling, we are experiences many travel modes, many services and apps, and they are not yet connected. This is what we want to do, and we believe it's time that tech is solving that problem. This is our solution. Yilu wants to build a B2B2C travel platform. How do we do that? First, starting from the bottom, we are building a curated ecosystem along the travel chain in different categories, such like bus, flights, accommodation, etc. On top of that, we are building smart engines. Each of these engines are adding value to the customer. However, the biggest value is being created when these engines work together. For example, if your long-haul flight has a significant delay, then the Yelu system takes care of informing your hotel about your late arrival, or is reorganizing your transport that you have booked from the airport. On top, as we are a B2B2C company, we are thinking of the traveler first, but we are servicing our products to travel companies, such as airlines, hotels, airports, etc. Their benefit is that they can easily integrate with Yelu by only consuming one single API. To make it a little bit more tangible, as you can see here, our services are deeply integrated into the customer interfaces of our clients. That means that their customers will not recognize that they are technically leaving their sites. We have brought some out-of-the-box solutions that we would later on like to discuss with you, like the on-the-go recommender. We are also serving different touch points, and we have the Yelu timeline that we would like to explain to you later on. We are Yelu, as I said before. We have been founded in last July. We have grown to 40 people already. Most of them are engineers and product people, and we are located in the very nice heart of Berlin. We would like to connect with you later on upstairs. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. Up next, Jeff from TripKicks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeff Burke. I'm the CEO of TripKicks. We're a technology platform, and what we do is we reward business travelers for making better, more cost-conscious, and policy-compliant travel decisions. So we help companies save money, and we do that in a way that benefits travelers. So I want to tell you a little bit more about what we do, but first I want to talk a little bit about what's happening in the world of business travel. So business travel is undergoing tremendous change, right? For years, it was all about cost. Corporations created strict policies, they beat up their suppliers, they removed all human touch points from the process to reduce costs. And quick story on that. Yesterday I was speaking at an SAP Concur user conference in Boston, and we went around the room and said, who had cost savings targets for the year? And everybody raised their hand, right? And for the rest of the day, what was interesting? We didn't talk about that at all. What we talked about was all the change, everything else that was happening in business travel. Our workforce is changing. Unemployment's at a 50-year low, and what's happening is companies are competing for top talent, and they're looking at travel as an enabler for this. Millennials like myself, by 2020, we're going to account for 50% of the business spend. And guess what? Travel is more important to us. We travel more. We're thinking about it in terms of our job selection. And companies are starting to realize that. For the first time ever, they're loosening their corporate travel policies versus making them more strict. They're embracing trends like bleisure and the sharing economy, right? So is cost still important? Of course it's important. It's always going to be important, but it's no longer the only thing that's important. So another interesting thing about large corporations is that the cost of change is incredibly high. Companies spend months, years, and in some cases millions of dollars putting these programs in place. So you know what? They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So what's been really important to us at TripKicks is to integrate into these existing platforms, into the existing programs. And you see here some of the companies that we work with today. So what we do and the way that it works, it's pretty simple. We generate a company-specific real-time budget within the booking tool. And if a traveler is able to beat that budget in a way that's compliant with their travel policy, whether it's staying at an Airbnb or maybe they don't need to fly business class on their next international trip, then they're rewarded for their behavior. So the results are pretty powerful. Companies are able to save money through travelers making different, more cost-conscious decisions. They're able to increase compliance to their program, and also increase traveler satisfaction because there's something in it for the traveler for making that trade-off. So a little bit about us. We were launched last year. We launched our MVP last year with a handful of companies, including Zappos. This year, we've really been focused on bringing on other organizations, and right now we're working on bringing on our first Fortune 100 client, which is really exciting. Our results are really compelling. We're seeing about 15% savings on each budget, and a lot of times, almost 50% of the time, travelers are willing to make a trade-off and do something a little bit less expensive to get rewarded. So thanks, everyone, for listening. We make it really easy for companies to get on board and add TripKicks to their program, and please stop by for a demo upstairs. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. The next presenter co-founded a indoor wiffle ball league in grad school. So please welcome Erwin from Luna.
Thanks. This would actually make a great wiffle ball stadium if we could just clear the desk out. My name's Erwin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Luna Travel Technology. Before I get started, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. So by show of hands, who here has ever traveled with someone else before? Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. So I'd like you to think about that time that you traveled with someone else. Maybe it was your partner or a group of friends or extended family. And think about how that went. Not the traveling part, but the planning and the booking. And how did you manage that? How did you share ideas or make decisions together? Did you use emails or text? Did you use Google Docs or probably Excel? What was your role, and how did you pay for things? Who still owes you money? Planning and booking together is time-intensive, it's cumbersome, and it's expensive, but it doesn't have to be. At Luna, we know that travel happens together, and we think planning and booking should too. And our collaborative travel platform lets people do just that. There are 3 things I'd like you to know about Luna. One is we're all about connections. Travel is about the connections we have with the people we're traveling with and the plans we make together. And our collaborative technology enables those interactions. 2, transactions. Planning is good and fine, but we all know that the money's in the booking. And our innovative payment solutions allow multiple people to plan together and pay separately. Think about it as a shared itinerary with individualized transactions. And 3, data intelligence. With our technology, you'll know how people are traveling with each other. We know how many people are traveling, what they're interested in, what's driving their transactions, and who's paying for what. And this is all possible with our core technology, which is an interactive itinerary that allows 2 or more people to plan and book together at the same time. We've been in the market for about 2.5 years, and we've had the opportunity to work with some great companies. In 2018, we ran a pilot with Marriott International. More recently, we were one of 4 companies selected to be in Virtuoso's incubator program. We've had over 50,000 people create trips with our technology, and we think the results are pretty compelling. When people plan together, they tend to plan ahead, so we see people 83 days prior to travel, which is about 4 times longer than the average booking window. And we bring more people into the planning and booking process, which increases the basket size and the buying power of the group. Last thing I wanted to mention, we have a new product in the market this year. It's called Trips.app. Trips.app is a full business platform for travel professionals and small agencies to grow and market their business online. If you'd like to learn more about Trips.app or how Luna can work with you, please visit me upstairs. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Up next, Sarita from Trust-A-Bit.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited because we just found out we were considered for Batch 8. So excuse me if I smile through this whole presentation. But as he mentioned, my name is Sarita, and I'm the founder of Trust-A-Bit, and our solution simplifies flight disruption management. Now, imagine a customer-centric application that will enable airlines to speed up business processes, improve customer loyalty, and, if applicable, ensure compliance with European Union flight delay regulations, all while saving money. If a solution like this could be white labeled for the airline, would you be interested? Just blink twice if you'd like to hear more. There's a critical flaw in how we currently handle flight disruptions. Companies I like to call flight delay chasers use bots to target passengers affected by flight delays. It usually goes like this. Jane's flight has just been delayed, so she takes to social media to vent her frustration and tags your airline. The company's bot immediately responds with something like, "Flight delayed? Click here to claim your compensation." Of course, they'll take a 25% fee just to liaise with the airline. So what's the impact here? For one, the customer's loyalty is removed from the airline and effectively transferred over to the middleman who just jumped in and saved the day. It's also costly for the airline. In 2018, Lufthansa paid over $500 million to EC 261 flight delay regulations. The flight delay model is a Band-Aid solution. There must be a better way. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Trustabit, an IROPS management solution that proactively notifies passengers of flight delays and allows them to claim compensation in either vouchers, miles, points, or dollars. There are 3 key benefits to the Trustabit solution. The first is brand loyalty. Net promoter scores are significantly lower when passengers experience flight disruptions. Trustabit can turn these disruptions into an opportunity to improve the passenger experience and maintain your most loyal, high-value passengers. The second, voucher distributions. Airlines can issue compensation to passengers quickly and securely directly to their smartphone or printed boarding pass. Imagine being able to activate a passenger's boarding pass, load it with meal vouchers, then direct them to the nearest affiliate vendor within the airport, all without the hassle of manual distribution and tracking of physical paper vouchers. No more long lines at the gate. Agents can focus on escalations, and accounting is seamless. That once frustrated passenger now feels empowered as they can maintain an element of control over their travel experience. And finally, power of choice. Trustabit can allow airlines to offer passengers the option of miles, which cost pennies on the dollar, and appeal to travelers while effectively remaining compliant to European Union flight delay regulations. Here's our why. Airlines can reduce staff during flight disruptions and maintain total control over the voucher and refund policies. Passengers are empowered. They can choose their preferred redemption amount, they know the value, and most importantly, they know where to spend it. Vendors can benefit from a seamless integration, low friction checkout, and increased foot traffic. Now, our roadmap is robust. Once we establish ourselves in the airline industry, we plan to add hotel and rideshare companies onto the same blockchain. This will allow us to tokenize loyalty points and give passengers instant value of redemption. It's a win-win situation. Now, at Trustabit, our goal is not to disrupt the airline industry, but to reimagine, improve, and rebuild it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarita. Last but certainly not least, please welcome Damien from Stackla.
Okay, folks, next 3 minutes, I need you to stop thinking about lunch and think about content. Okay, what does Stackla do? So effectively what we do is we help marketers with content. We access visual content, so images and video for them at scale. And we work with predominantly B2C brands. You can see some of the brands that we work with there, Air France, Expedia, but also L'Oreal and Ford. And we deal with 2 main issues, and that's content velocity or content volume and content impact. And this is where Stackla comes into play. So we're living in an era of visual content. Brands have effectively now become publishers. There are 3 billion images and videos posted every day on social media. So I want you to think about that as the supply part of the equation. Marketers, in turn, they need content. They're spending more and more on content, but that investment is not being realized. That money that they're spending is having a diminishing return for them. So you think about that as the demand aspect, but also therein lies a challenge and a problem in that they're not getting that impact that they need for the content that they're spending money on. So we adopt a philosophy of curating content, not creating content. So you think about the traditional methods of scaling a content strategy. You utilize an agency, you can build out an internal team, you purchase stock photography. All of those methods are not cost effective. And if you think about the impact of consumer content, pretty much anybody who's considering a purchase, whether it be travel or a product or an experience, they're seeking out the opinions of other customers. They want to have that purchasing decision validated by another customer who's had a positive experience. So as I mentioned before, we solve two problems. We solve content performance. User-generated content is proven to perform at a much higher rate than stock photography or standard agency content. And we also deal with content velocity. We can reduce your costs in content creation, and we can also allow you to deliver upon strategies such as personalization, such as the volume of content that we can collect for you. A quick overview of the platform. We work predominantly with the social networks. We're aggregating content from the social networks. We work with 25 different sources of content. It comes into our platform. Artificial intelligence is at the heart of our technology. In order to process the vast volumes of content that we collect through our platform, we utilize artificial intelligence to inform our publishers of what they should be publishing, on what platform, and to what type of audience. We also provide publishing tools, and as you can imagine, we're constantly monitoring the performance of that content, and which in turn informs our algorithm. And then we allow you to publish that content. You think about all of the different pieces of marketing technology that sits within your stack. They all need content. We heard some of the themes spoken about by the travel executives who were up here earlier. We spoke about content aggregation, we spoke about messaging apps, and we spoke about predictive intelligence. All of those themes run through the heart of our technology. And we are heavily invested in the travel space. 45% of our revenue and customers come from travel customers. Our roadmap is heavily aligned with the needs of those customers, and we continue to innovate. And one quick customer example, Busabout, who you may be familiar with, operating bus tours all throughout Europe. Quite incredibly, they've gone from completely relying upon stock photography and professional imagery, now where 95% of the content that not only is utilized on their digital platforms and their digital touch points, but also offline, is 95% user-generated content. In turn, they've been able to realize a saving of 65% on the cost of content creation, and the return on investment there is significant for them. And that's it. We have a team upstairs if you'd like to learn more.
Thank you very much. That concludes the startup pitches for today. I hope you guys found them interesting. If you haven't already voted for your favorite startup, please do use the QR code in the back of your badge. We're going to announce that momentarily. In the meantime, twice a year, we give an award to the most innovative corporate partner. I'm extremely excited about this one. This year, we're awarding one of our corporate partners that joined the program early on. I would say our champion who kind of maintains the relationship with Plug and Play. It's one of the hardest working people in the industry. He's the only person on the planet that could make ground handling and cargo handling at airports sexy and exciting. Just to put it into context, this gentleman has flown to Silicon Valley since May 2017, 13 times. He's met with over 60 startups, and that has resulted in a handful of engagements. The company I'm referring to is obviously Swissport and our champion, Florian. I wanted to welcome Florian on stage. Worth mentioning, Florian, obviously, when he started out on this roadmap, he faced his personal challenges in terms of getting different stakeholders at Swissport involved, but he's done a brilliant job of bringing folks to Silicon Valley to get a higher level of engagement with our startups and Plug and Play. And he came up with this brilliant model of starting really small, testing out innovation at one hub, and rolling it out across the Swissport ecosystem, which is in 50 countries, across 300 plus airports, with a team of 60,000 plus people. One great example of that is a company, Springshot, which I think you met during your first visit to Silicon Valley. Springshot is essentially a task management platform, and they met in May of 2017. They tested the solution at one of their hubs in Cyprus. Since then, they reached a global deal with Springshot, and they've rolled it out already across Japan and Germany, if I'm not mistaken. With that, I want to hand it over to Florian to say a few words, and congratulations once again.
Thanks a lot, Amir and team. It's been a great journey so far. I think we started working together about 2 years ago, and I think the introductions, the insights, the collaborations that we've gotten out of Plug and Play have been an absolutely essential piece to our innovation puzzle. And we've met a lot of startups, but we're also looking forward to what you discover for us over the next year or so. And it's not just me, it's the entire Swissport team, the different business units that come out here, take time out of their busy agendas to meet with startups and also engage in conversations with the other corporate partners at Plug and Play. It's a great community, and I look forward to it growing even bigger. I think every time we come here, it's more and more people from across the globe sharing the same passion. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Florian. All right. So, Angela, do you want to come up on stage for the Startup Award?
So we've heard from 19 different presenters today who are innovators in the travel industry who will take the industry to the next level of what we see in the next 5, 10 years, whether in the airline space, hospitality space, or just ease of using any travel tools in the future. Now, there are a lot of work that goes behind these presentations. I know we see 3 minutes of these quick presentations, but there's a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat goes behind building a product, building the practicing for the presentation, getting the ideas out there. So please join me in thank all of our presenters today once again for their hard work and presentation. Now, I know we all have our favorites, and I have the votes by popular demand, and our winner today is Sherpa. Woo!
I need a visa for China next week.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And would you like to say a few things?
Yeah, sure. I can help you out with that visa. I just want to say thanks so much to Plug and Play. I think what all of you have created is really special. We've only had amazing experiences with all of you. Something we talk about a lot is that regardless of any complexity in our business model, we're really focused on just making the travel experience better. And I think that everyone here really gets that, and you execute it just an amazingly high level. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Just a couple of last-minute things. Again, I wanted to thank our panelists. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I hope the audience found it interesting. I know I did. Secondly, we're going to break out for lunch now. Lunch is being served on the second floor. There'll be some Plug and Play employees guiding your way there. Thirdly, for the corporate partners, we have our quarterly roundtable taking place on the third floor at 1:30 sharp. So if you could find your way up to the third floor at 1:30, I would very much appreciate it. Last but not least, I want to recognize the travel and hospitality team. Can everybody come on stage, please? Including the interns. Honestly, there's nothing more that I'm proud of than this team. We are extremely lean, and with the current expansion that we had, it would not have been possible without the folks you see on stage here. The video that you saw, the first video that we showed when we started the session, was created by this gentleman, Zach, who's our intern. He literally got it done in less than a week. So really proud of the team. Thank you, everybody, for making us look good, and looking forward to the next chapter. Thanks. Thank you, everybody.